Hi everybody, lots to talk about in this video. We've got the remnants of Cristobal heading north, or however you pronounce it. It's your choice. Pretty much done with the system anyway. Or are we? We've got some wind coming into the area as well. Some of that could be gusty. We'll detail how strong those winds get, how much rain you can expect, all that and more in this video. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here as of this Monday evening. Hope you had a nice weekend. Certainly was nice weather-wise, but boy, we changed things around today. We had the heat, and now we're dealing with the remnants of Cristobal, which is still a tropical depression. The wind really wasn't the story with this, and the wind is what categorizes it. This is more of a storm surge threat across the Gulf Coast. They had lots of rainfall as well, so flooding obviously an issue. And this thing is going unimpeded off towards the north. There's really no steering currents until you get up in Canada. That's where the jet stream is right now with this big old ridge. So Cristobal is going to continue off to the north the way that he came in, and he's going to head out into Canada that way as well. A couple things compounding this though. It's going to merge with an area low pressure. It's off to our west. That has kicked off thunderstorms for days out in the Dakotas and the Rockies. They've had all sorts of severe weather there. This whole system is going to merge with the cold front. It's going to form a pretty decent area of low pressure. That's going to swing through here after we get this chunk of rain and wind out of here, and then eventually we'll say goodbye to the whole entire system. So let's dive into the details here. So the biggest threats locally are going to be the wind and the rain, as we're going to get a pretty decent area of wind gusts developing along this. Let's talk rainfall first. Again, I think this is going to be an issue, but I'm not expecting any flooding still. But you can see how it comes in here. This is Tuesday morning. This is really not going to be an issue other than some high clouds moving in. Then the clouds will thicken up, and by Tuesday afternoon, keep in mind it's going to be really humid as this is a tropical air mass moving in, but we'll likely see a couple bands of rain move through that could produce some pretty heavy downpours. But look at the center of that low. It's coming virtually right over areas of Illinois, so we're on just the front edge of that. And we could get obviously some heavier downpours, but some real strong winds out of that as well, which we'll look at in a second. So then the whole low heads north. That's way up in Michigan at this point. But then there's another low, as you see back towards Missouri. That's going to attach itself to the actual cold front, and that will bring a push in here. You can see there Wednesday night into Thursday morning of not just more wind, but perhaps some showers, and that will lead to a pretty decent severe weather event as it looks right now out towards the east before it all pushes on out. In terms of humidity, this is going to bring a slug of, I keep calling it a slug, I don't know what other word to use, a slug of moisture and just oppressive air with it. Look at these dew points that it brings up. I mean, this is typical of tropical systems. As we get into tomorrow afternoon, I think we start kind of humid tomorrow, but by afternoon it's just going to be thick outside. Look at our dew points up to 73, 74, 75 by tomorrow evening on into tomorrow night. That's tropical for Florida even. I mean, that's going to be some pretty deep moisture, and then eventually we get some drier air on the backside of that. But we've got a little bit of humidity to get through here over the next 24 hours. So the final thing I want to look at, and again, we're going to keep this short and sweet. We're just telling you what you need to know here. We've got rain coming, we've got some humidity coming, and we've also got winds. The winds have been interesting to watch. It originally looked like we'd have really two areas of strong winds, one with the actual low pressure and then another one as that other low formed. Right now it's looking just like an area of gusty winds that moves in with Cristobal, literally the area of low pressure. You can see these are your wind gusts now. Starting to peak, this is tomorrow midday into early afternoon. We've got gusts to 30. It'll be breezy outside for sure, but then things really ramp up tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Especially once we get a little peak heating of the day, it helps to mix the atmosphere a little bit. And you can see some of these gusts upwards of 40. I'm seeing some 45s in there. That's been pretty consistent with our forecast. I know a couple days ago, some of the models were saying 50, 60 mile per hour winds. Well, that's certainly possible. We didn't say much about that because I wanted to give it a couple more model runs, and it looks like we've settled on 20, 30, 40 mile per hour winds being pretty consistent with this. And again, this is Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and then you can see Tuesday night, they kind of relax a little bit as that low heads over. And then a second area of gusty winds, this would be Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. But I really think tomorrow afternoon, depending on when you're watching this, on into Tuesday evening, is going to be the time to watch. All right, so that's what we're dealing with in terms of Cristobal. Don't want to waste any more of your time. It will bring some humidity, we're going to see some pretty decent downpours with this as well, and obviously the winds that will ramp up at least for a time being before it heads on out. This all leads to cooler, refreshing air for the weekend. We'll talk more about that in our next update.